Leaders in Action. I'm Robin Termingham of the Olderhood Group, and my guests today are Olderhood CEO Bill Story and Amy Newmark, Editor-in-Chief and Publisher of Chicken Soup for the Soul books. Since 2008, Chicken Soup has published over 170 new titles, and most of them have been bestsellers in both United States and Canada. So I'm very delighted to welcome Amy to the show today. Amy, how are you doing?
I'm great. It's so much fun to be talking to you in Bermuda. I'm getting a little bit of your nice weather just through the screen.
Well, we do have a sunny day today outside. There's so many questions I want to ask you. Let's start. You have kind of an eclectic background. What got you interested in the Chicken Soup for the Soul brand?
What happened was that my husband and I were looking for a new business, and we kept looking for businesses that had trademarks or intellectual property, something very proprietary. And we came upon Chicken Soup for the Soul, where the founders were looking to sell. And we realized here you had an amazing trademark known all around the world. You had fabulous intellectual property in the form of tens of thousands of published stories. And my husband, who's very big in the entertainment business and really knows how that works, he saw how he could take this brand from book publishing and bring it into the entertainment industry as well.
That's amazing. When I was reading over your resume and your LinkedIn profile, I noticed that not only are you a chartered financial analyst, you're also a fluent Portuguese speaker. And a lot of Bermudians are going to be quite interested in that. Tell us, how do those rather unique skills help you excel in publishing?
I don't think they've really helped me that much. I just think they've led to me having, a broader background. In fact, I was on Wall Street for decades, and the Portuguese never helped me on Wall Street either, except one time when I was talking to a client and he needed to know a 4-letter Portuguese word for a lady. So I told him dona, and it was the right answer for the crossword puzzle. But it hasn't really helped. It's just part of my background. What is interesting, though, is the Portuguese came about because I did a semester abroad in Brazil when I was in college, and I wrote my thesis on popular poetry and literature in Brazil. I traveled around Brazil collecting stories from regular people, and then realized 30 years later when I started at Chicken Soup for the Soul, oh my gosh, I'm doing the same thing again. Life is so circular.
Wow, that's really, really cool. Let's talk a little bit about what's been going on this year. What's it like leading a global publishing house during a pandemic?
It is tough. It's really tough. So here's a great example. We shipped 40,000 copies of our Mother's Day book back in February. The book was to go on sale March 17th. And that seemed to be the day that every bookstore in the world was shut down by the pandemic. Oh. And then they started opening up again the day after Mother's Day. And I was just dying. I had 40,000 copies of books just locked up inside closed stores. And I knew they would all be returned after Mother's Day. That Amazon didn't ship books for a couple of months, which is pretty funny since that's where they started. But they declared books were not essential. But nevertheless, and even though we've moved a couple of our 2020 titles to 2021, we're actually up a little in sales this year. So somehow, because the world really does still need Chicken Soup for the Soul, we've been able to power through all of the obstacles in our way during the pandemic.
Is there an overriding principle or mantra or something about what type of book that you would look at? And obviously ultimately publish?
Well, what people tell us they want the most, and this is during good times and bad, is they want hope. And I often put the word hope in our titles or in our subtitles because people want to see real life examples from people just like them who have been through the same kinds of milestone moments, the same ups and downs in their lives, the same challenges, and have overcome those challenges or somehow found inner strength or resilience. So that's really what Chicken Soup for the Soul offers people. And during a pandemic, they are really turning to our books. The other thing they like is that our books consist of 101 short stories. And a lot of people are finding themselves very distracted these days. There's something about a book that you can pick up, put down, pick up, put down, squeeze a story into the 5 minutes, 10 minutes that you have, read one story before you go to bed at night. People find that a very easy to digest form of comfort and hope and solace.
The ordinary person, if I can put it like that, the normal person, I think that's the attraction. That's certainly been my attraction to some of the books that I've read, from you folks, is just, they just seem to be normal people, and I think we can associate with that much easier than some high flying astronaut kind of guy. I think the normalcy issue is, certainly from my perspective, is a key element and key attraction.
I know that working on these books and being exposed to all these stories myself has dramatically changed my perspective and my ability to deal with challenges that come along. I mean, when my mother died unexpectedly, when my father got dementia, we had to move him into an assisted living. When I was diagnosed with cancer, all of these things I had read about, and I knew, oh my gosh, there are millions of people going through the same thing today. And I stopped feeling sorry for myself. And I knew that just as our writers of all of our stories had that inner strength and resilience, so too would I. And it's made me so much better at dealing with everything in my own life.
How have these things shaped your leadership style, and how are you leveraging those skills to help your own team through this pandemic?
Well, everybody tells me that I'm nicer. They say, you're so nice now. And I think, oh my gosh, what was I like before? But they say that reading all these Chicken Soup for the Soul stories has really changed me. And so I think it's made me more grounded, more forgiving, more understanding of what makes people tick, less judgmental. And so it's really helped me, I think, to be, a good leader, but I also have an amazing team. We have people who have been with Chicken Soup for the Soul for 20 years. I think my shortest term employee is 6 years. Basically, once they start with us, they don't want to leave because everybody finds the work self-fulfilling and everybody finds that they're being positively affected by working with all of these stories.
So is your team all spread out due to the pandemic?
They are, and we had people working remotely even prior to the pandemic. About half of our staff were working from their homes spread across the country, and then half our staff was in Connecticut. So now we're all working from home. It hasn't been a huge change for us because we were already so good at working remotely with each other. But I do have Zoom cocktail parties with them every couple of weeks where we don't talk business. We just get together and chat and catch up on each other's lives.
Yeah, it's really important to be able to relate to people just on the human level with everything that's going on. You touched on people really craving your books while all of this is going on. Do you think that because people are home more, they're finding more time to read?
I think that's part of it because there aren't as many new television shows. And even though there are 500 million things you could watch on streaming TV, people are turning to books also. And maybe there's just something that's very comforting about sitting in a chair and reading a book and being able to turn back. And we've noticed that there's been a big uptick in the sales of our really older books, such as Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul, which is 25 years old, or Chicken Soup for the Preteen Soul, which is 20 years old. And I think that parents are buying these books that helped them 20, 25 years ago. They're now buying those books for their children.
Oh, that's very interesting. I have so many more questions that I want to ask you, but everybody's going to have to wait for part 2 of this discussion. You've been watching Leaders in Action. Join us again for more from Amy Newmark.